Okay, it is a little bit after 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let's call the Johnson City Council meeting number 25-21 to order. Cindy, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cope.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Burkhart.
Here.
Ready.
I want to welcome everyone that is in the audience this evening. If you are here for an item that is on the agenda, we would ask for you to wait for that item to come up and address the council at that time. If you're here for an item that is not on the agenda, there will be an opportunity under public communications, which is coming up here very shortly. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief Coleman, will you do us the honors?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the agenda approval. Mike, do you have any changes to the agenda?
No amendments this evening, Mayor.
Council, any changes? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to public communications. We have two scheduled public communications this evening, and the first is a proclamation for National Adoption Month, November 2025. This was a proclamation that was requested, and I don't have very good notes here, so I'm going to ask, why don't you come forward and identify yourselves? They're in the microphone.
We're here on behalf of Four Oaks Foster Care and Adoption, talking with you this evening about National Adoption Month here in November. We serve foster and adoptive families throughout the entire state of Iowa, all the way from the licensing process and recruiting foster families, supporting them while they have children in the home, and then on through adoption as long as they need us. So that's a little bit about us and just what brings us here today. In Iowa, there's about a 35% deficit of foster families, so we're working hard with community partners, maybe such as yourselves or other organizations, to get that word out.
And your name is?
Emily Easton.
My name's Erin Stiles.
And I'm gonna come down here and read this proclamation. You know, when you reached out to me and made this request, it's been personal to me. I've been a foster mom, and I have a foster daughter, who is my adopted daughter, and because she came into our family, now I have a zillion grandkids, and even some great grandkids because of that. So
Yep.
it's, you know, it's just been a real blessing in our family that been able to have that experience. Letters come up here, you know, I read this proclamation. Again, this is proclaiming November 2025 National Adoption Month. Whereas the city of Johnson, Iowa recognizes the importance of giving children permanent, safe, and loving families through adoption. And whereas over 77,000 children in the United States foster care system are waiting for permanency with a family that can help them thrive. And whereas more than 50,000 students who will be transitioning to adulthood this year have an especially urgent need for adopted families for permanent connections during adulthood. My foster daughter, when she came to live with us, she was 15 years old, and the situation was that it was in the summertime, and her mother had abandoned her. Her mother went to Florida, she didn't have any place to live, so she was friends with my daughter. My daughter brought for the summer, just for the summer. Well, the summer became the fall, and she needed to go to school, so that's when I learned that I needed to become a foster parent, really, so I could go to the school system. And I eventually, as a family, we adopted her, and now she's obviously our family. So now I have two Angies. My daughter's name is Angie, and the friend that she brought home who I adopted. So, it's been a little confusing, but it worked. Whereas November is a special time of thanks and public awareness for adopted families and numerous individuals, public organizations, and private agencies who will work diligently to make sure every child has a safe and stable home. And whereas every successful adoption is a success story in which all Johnson residents can share. And whereas the city of Johnson's future depends on our commitment to helping all children develop to their fullest potential. And whereas the city of Johnson encourages community members to participate in local events such as adoption fairs, informational sessions, and volunteer opportunities with organizations to support children in foster care, providing a platform for community engagement and education. Now therefore, I, Paula Ehrenberg, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of Johnson, Iowa, do hereby proclaim November 2025 as National Adoption Month in the city of Johnson, and urge all citizens to learn more about ways we can positively support youth in our community. All right, if the council wants to come down and join me. Sure. Help me hold there, proclamation. Thank you for reaching out, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
We need to make this.
Sorry.
This is yours.
Yes.
And the other scheduled item that we have is acknowledging the Cork 501(c)(1)'s efforts in organizing the 2025 Summer Concert Series. Josh, do we have anybody here from the Cork?
I'm not familiar with that, so I think we were intending on that happening. We'll put that on the November 7th.
Yeah, let's do that. Or we could just all gather up there later and thank them.
Mayor, we were intending, we want to align it with the agreement.
Sounds good. We will do that another day. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We have,
Mayor, did you open I
Do
think
we
we might
have
have a
others?
public comment.
do we have others in the audience that would like to address the council under public communications on an item that is not otherwise on the agenda? I got so
Mayor,
excited about going to
council members.
work.
My name's Vern Lyon. I've been a resident of Johnston for 33 years and a citizen. And some weeks ago, Mayor, you and I met in a different forum, and I brought up an item, and your response to me was somewhat confusing then. That still is a bit confusing, because your response was, well, I have to talk to the chief of police. And actually, the issue I'm going to re-bring up tonight, I don't believe is an issue that belongs with the chief of police. I think it belongs with this council. And so I'm sorry I'm short one copy, but I'll give you my copy when I'm done reading it. But I do have a copy for it.
What? We can share.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Did I give you one?
think I got two.
There you are. They stick together. There you be. And there you go.
Thank you.
This is a proposal that I first talked to Jeff Hubbard of the Senior Advisory Board, of which I'm a member. And we discussed this, and he thought it was probably an issue that should be brought up before the city council. And even though he agrees with me, we both agreed that this is probably the proper forum. At any rate, I'll read this. Given the recent arrest of the Des Moines Public Schools superintendent and the arrest and deportation of an 18-year-old Des Moines student, combined with the fact that ICE wants to rent office space in Des Moines for 80 ICE agents to work from, I think we all know where this is going. In the Johnston Public Schools, we have 716 students in ESL classes, English as Second Languages. That's 10% of all the students in Johnston. The breakdown is as follows. Asian, and these are approximate numbers, 10%, Black, 11.5%, Hispanic, 8.3%, multiracial, 5.4%, Indian, 0.2%, and white, 64.5%. In addition, there are dozens of people that work as domestic helpers, gardeners, roofers, construction workers, etc., that live in Johnston who may be subject to arrest by ICE. Many of those that I have listed here are legal residents, some in the process of becoming legal, while there are some who are undocumented. Some of them might even be your neighbors. So I propose using the Crown Point Community Center as a gathering center for those students, their family members, friends, and others who want to see those students protected from detention and possible arrest by ICE, as well as the others that I mentioned. In case that the Crown Point Center cannot provide free access, we could use meeting spaces at the Johnston Public Library. We could ask local immigration attorneys, clergy, and other supportive groups to address those concerned in a safe setting. The city of Johnston could take the lead on this coming issue at basically no cost. This would be a productive move instead of a reactive one. So that's the proposal I have before you tonight. And I ask you to consider it because this is something that's going to happen. And I think we all know it. I've checked around the state of Iowa, and there's been 11 ICE raids from the northeast to the northwest. And if they're going to have 70 ICE officers in the Des Moines, city of Des Moines, what are they going to do? We all know. So this proposal, I think, like I say, it's a proactive instead of reactive. So I hope you consider this. I don't know how you want to take a vote on it, but just let me know.
I think for purposes of this evening, we appreciate you sharing this with us,
Sure.
Vern. And we will have conversation with our city staff all of the city staff who have some connection with this in one way or the other, whether it's
Well, I've talked to
Jeff Hubbard
several,
at the Parks Department or our chief of police who would have some responsibility in this area. We'll have the conversation and
okay,
we'll,
I've talked to several
consider
candidates for the Des Moines School Board, and I've explained this to them, and they all agree that this is an issue that needs to be addressed before it happens. So
Can I ask,
I'll leave you with that, and I'll let you get back to your business.
can I ask a question? Vern, I don't quite understand at which point the Crown Point or the library is needed. Is that when there is a deportation actioning happening? Or is this, if someone is afraid of being deported, is it a safe space? Can you?
I think
give me
it would
some
be
help?
more appropriate if something happens. Family and friends and the students themselves would know beforehand that they could gather at one of these two spots where immigration attorneys and supporters could talk to them, tell them what their possibilities are, what their options are, and not just be wandering around in the dark and afraid. So that's, I think we have to wait until there is an action taken. Because I don't know how we would do something before that happens.
So it's a sort of a safe space
Yes.
in which people can be, they can gather, like you said, and supporters could come. And would this be for overnight?
No, I think it would just be maybe an afternoon session. If we notice that ICE has appeared in one of the public schools here in Johnston, I think we have to get the word out maybe through the school board. So it's spread out through the schools if a decision is made to use one of those sites, that if this happens, this is where you can go. And it would be the day following the action, but a place that they know is safe and available. And we could contact the immigration attorneys to give free advice, because those people are going to need it.
I think it's also important for us to understand what other organizations are doing in this regard, whether it's
I think there'd be
churches
quite
or
a few.
social organizations or,
Anyhow, I'll leave you with that.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
We are still under public communications. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to public hearings. We have 3 public hearings this evening. The first is to conduct a public hearing and consider first consideration of resolution number 25-269, an official amendment to the Thrive 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future land use map for 2.672 acres of land located at 4740 and 4730 Northwest 59th Avenue from high-density residential to industrial. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:20.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, Michael Dell, planning staff. The first item we have on public hearing tonight is directly related to the items B and C. So there's a little bit of context there. It's a request from the applicants for PZ cases 25-13 and 2525. They've submitted a request to amend the Thrive 2040 comprehensive plan for properties located at 4740, 4730 Northwest 59th Avenue from high-density residential to industrial in order to align with their request for rezoning on public hearing items B and C. To give council a little bit more context of where these properties are located at, here are both of the parcels that are being requested in this specific item. They're to the west of Northwest 59th Avenue, to the west of Northwest Beaver, and this little bit of a road that turns around a corner. To give council a little bit more context on this property and just to show the surrounding land uses, everything you see in dark brown here that is designated as high-density residential in the future land use map. You have suburban mixed residential to the west. Everything showing up in white is that industrial zoning that relates to M1, light industrial district for a zoning district. Previously, this high-density residential land back in 2014 was rezoned from this M1 light industrial district and industrial future land use to this high-density residential for a bigger multifamily development around 6 buildings. It was supposed to encompass all of the properties here in dark brown. Since then, the property, if I can switch to my map here, to the south of the vacant properties that did develop into multifamily, but nothing to the north did develop to multifamily. And it ended up changing hands from the original developer who sought that rezoning in 2014. Some additional context to this land has been put up for sale. It'll come out in one of the other items, but originally this came as a rezoning request for this top parcel here where my cursor's at, if you can see that. Plan and Zoning Commission tabled the item in order to have staff look at the availability of M1 parcels and R4 high-density parcels within the city. We looked at all the availability of multifamily housing, higher density family housing within the city. and just the availability of M1 zoning within the city. From that study, it seems pretty even with the availability of M1 light industrial availability within the city. There was pretty similar amounts of R4 high-density residential also. The difference being that there are more areas in the future land use map designated for this high-density residential, more towards the corridors along Merle Hay and the southwest of this property in that area of town. So the recommendation from staff to Plan and Zoning Commission was based on the character. Originally, when this was rezoned in 2014, none of this light industrial had been developed out, and it was mostly just vacant land. With the change of context and the development more geared towards light industrial, we gave the recommendation to Plan and Zoning Commission to recommend approval of this amendment to the future land use plan and Thrive 2040. That did pass through Plan and Zoning Commission unanimously. There were members of the neighbors to the west that came out in support of this future land use amendments. A couple of them spoke at the Plan and Zoning Commission in favor of rezoning all of the R4 in the area to this M1 and changing the future land use designation. There were inquiries about what would be left of the R4 in this area, because there would be the developed parcel down here and there would be this little parcel up there that's undeveloped. But there was no concern about building out M1 uses adjacent.
Does council have any questions?
Mayor, I have a question.
Okay.
Did you receive any response from the Sikh temple about the rezoning?
We did not.
And we know for sure they were notified of it?
Yep. We sent out several notices because the first property came in for public noticing, and then we noticed both properties the second time around for the second Plan and Zoning Commission meeting.
Do you think that there's, I mean, this is going to be a question you probably can't answer, but there's a concern that we don't have enough affordable housing in Johnston. And you did this study that shows that, what was it? We had about equal amounts of industrial versus potential locations for multiple residential. I remember when we were talking about this and we talked about that amenities need to be spread through communities, and now we have this one apartment building there that we asked them to do a little bit more in terms of amenities for the people that live there. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I'm kind of sad that we're going to have one multi-residential facility there kind of hanging out with all these industrial. And I guess I'm sad because kind of we're going in one direction and now we're going to turn around and do this other thing. And I haven't dealt with how I feel about it. Yes. So thanks.
I've just a couple notes on that from my perspective. A couple things. We also, your point is well taken, Councilmember Martin. We also didn't receive any comment from the multifamily owner. I make this recommendation from staff's perspective very specific to this location. As you could probably guess, taking property out of potential multifamily development is not something you often hear me saying. The one thing that may not be reflected in the slides that Michael provided about the study that we did originally for Planning Commission, because that was a simple query on property designated or zoned R4. The interesting thing, as you're well aware in Johnston, is a lot of our multifamily development is also in PUD. So that original query for R4 designated property did not pick up all of our multifamily properties, just for a point of clarification on the initial study.
Michael, I'm just curious, the neighborhood, the members of the neighborhood that voiced support for this change, what kind of comments did they make? Why did they think this was a preferred use?
Most of the comments were geared towards increased traffic through the area if they did build out to their full potential of multifamily in the high density capacity. Yeah, it really seemed like having people walk on the trail that separates the properties was one of the responses also that we received, but a lot of it was traffic and worrying about the sort of a large number of people in that small amount of property.
Another interesting comment that was made was that people actually favored the non-multifamily because they had some thought that a commercial or light industrial use there would be there during business hours, but not there 24/7, which they felt that a multifamily project would be. So they actually viewed that as a positive.
You mentioned a trail. So there is a trail at those apartment buildings that connect to a surrounding trail? Is that what's shown there? I guess it is. It's shown on the south and on the east.
Yep, there is, you can't see it very well on this map, but on the western property line between the twin homes there is a trail, and it does connect to these multifamily units and this building down here.
I'm trying to remember when we talked about this, and I think because we have sort of those are townhomes to the west, and then this apartment building got built. And so there wasn't a requirement of especially for landscaping. Usually you'd have landscaping between a industrial zoned and residential. So there isn't a lot of landscaping there because it was two multi-residential units. But if we make this change, then there would have to be some significant landscape, I'm assuming, between the new industrial zoned area and those townhomes. Would they have to also add landscaping between them and the Sikh temple? Is the Sikh temple in an industrial zone?
It's an M1, yes. I can
So they
switch
wouldn't
back.
have to landscape between there and the Sikh temple property?
The buffer wouldn't be as great since they're between two matching
Too
zoning
similar.
districts. There is an existing, the grade drops around like 8 feet here from the trail down there. There is pretty existing thick cover for tree line and bushes between there. That was one of the comments too, that they wanted this to be maintained on the edge of the trail just between the properties. They'd be required to go 60 feet off that too with a buffer for any M1 uses.
Okay.
Any other questions for Michael? This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council?
One of the applicants.
Good evening. My name is Tom Newton, and I'm the guy that orchestrated changing the zoning lots from lots 4730 and 4740 from high-density residential to industrial. If this passes, it's my intention to build a new office and warehouse on the 4740 lot for my company, which is Newton Roofing Services, along with some additional office and warehouse space for rent, since I anticipate this lot is able to have about a 12,000 square foot building from what I've seen so far. And I think we've got a schematic in your meeting packet tonight of just kind of a rough guesstimate of what I'm looking to do. So I'd first like to thank you guys for taking the change of zoning under advisement tonight, and I hope that you agree with this. I'm very excited about having my business in the city of Johnson, and it makes a lot of sense to me also, as I have also lived and raised my family in Johnson for the last 17 years. So I'm very excited about the possibility. I'd also like just to give a little background on this very positive process to date. As you know, and what Michael said, the city is recommending that the changes be made. We have also, at the zoning and planning committee a couple weeks ago, we had 6 people from that residential area that came, and they were all 100% in favor and said they would much rather have commercial than another apartment building on those lots. I have personally spoke to every business owner in that area, including the apartment building. I talked to the owner, and the attorney for them said that they would be more than happy to write a letter saying they were 100% in favor if you wanted it. But I said, just wait, and if they need it, we'll get it from them. And there are trees on that western side. It's really thick, so you can't see through and really see the lot. And finally, the Planning and Zoning Committee 2 weeks ago, it was unanimous that they passed the zoning. So with that update, again, I want to thank you for your consideration on this issue. And if you do agree and vote in favor of rezoning, I would further request that with all the positive feedback and support that we've had on this and received, you might also consider waiving the second and third reading on this issue. I thank you for your time.
Does the council have any questions for Tom? If not, is there anyone else in the audience who would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:34. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 25-269? Do
So moved.
we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yeah, I guess I would just sort of say for discussion, and I think Councilmember Martin brought up some really good points about kind of the challenges of, planning and zoning and land use. And this is it's almost sort of a case study. They should teach this at I'll say Iowa State's planning department, although they could do it at the University of Iowa as well if they desired. Because it's this whole area, I'm the only one I think up here the mayor was there too, but when this area was rezoned for multifamily several years ago. And so all those lots have been multifamily. And we all know how difficult it is to get a rezoning approved for multifamily. So those 2 lots have been zoned as multifamily now for maybe 10 years. And the fact that nobody has come along, the market hasn't sort of come along and said, they've already got the zoning secured. All they need to do is have a site plan and get it approved. And obviously that happened on one site, but not the other 2. So it's obviously for us, and I think Councilmember Martin's question and point is really solid, that we're going to end up with a kind of an apartment building stuck right in the middle of a bunch of industrial uses. That looks kind of bizarre and maybe not the best decision-making by the people who make those decisions, us, and it's hard to argue with that. But it isn't all about planning. It's also about what the market demands and other factors. And the fact is that we've had a lot of really nice development, similar to what Mr. Newton, is that right? Mr. Newton is proposing. That area has become more popular for light industrial uses, and some really nice buildings have come and been built along there. Really positive, bringing employment to the community. So I'm supportive of that. We'll be supportive of this rezoning, and because I think while it does produce kind of a unique land use pattern up there, what is being proposed is really consistent with the larger use in that area, which is for the industrial use. So, but certainly at some point, if somebody wants to write a letter to the editor saying, how could an elected official allow this to happen? I will have to raise my hand and say, yes, it was me, and I plead guilty.
Well, I would make a comment that Councilman Cope is right. I'm conflicted about this. I'm probably going to vote in favor of it because I listen to who shows up and who showed up at the planning and zoning, and our planning and zoning board is excellent at what they do. But I will say that I would not support shortening the period, the 3 meetings that is required, because I want to give an opportunity to hear from the neighboring properties if they didn't know about it. So that's my comments.
And I would just add to that as well. I think, first of all, I agree, waiving the readings is not something we would, especially waiving both the second and third on a rezoning is pretty much unprecedented. But I do want to salute you, Mr. Newton, for, I think, doing the hard work that I wish more developers would do, which is going out and talking to the neighbors and consulting with them. I think when that happens, when you do that hard work, then the people, I think, want to be neighbors with folks like that. So I really appreciate you doing that. I think that was you deserve recognition for that. That was a very good, positive step.
And Mr. Newton, I just want to add to that, and the comment that I was going to make is that, you know, at this point, it sounds like you have good support from the residents who live in the neighborhood. Oftentimes what happens is when something is constructed next to them, then we hear from them again about the lights and the noise and, you know, the need for additional buffers. So just continue to work with them so that we don't hear those kinds of concerns then as the building goes up and starts to be occupied, so.
And like I said, I live in Johnston too, so.
Sure.
Community too, so I want to be nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely, we appreciate that. Any further discussion? If not, Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Motion passed. Was there any interest in waiving second and third? Yeah. That's just something we typically don't do in these kind of situations, but it didn't mean that you couldn't ask. You bet, thank you. Moving on to the next public hearing. Conduct a public hearing and consider first consideration of ordinance number 1149, an official zoning map amendment to rezone 1.486 acres from R4 High Density Mixed Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. And we will open this public hearing at 7:40.
All right, the next item we have is the first property within this rezoning request. It is for Newton Properties LLC and Thomas C. Newton, who spoke earlier. He's entered a purchase agreement for this property to rezone 1.486 acres from R4 High Density Mixed Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. He plans on building a warehouse type building for his roofing company that currently exists. In terms of adjacent land use, this is a similar map to our future land use map, but gives you more context on the existing zoning. R4, darker brown color, M1 is the lighter white that's surrounding. And you have a PUD to the west that is the single family and the bi-attached condos. Like the first item on the public hearing tonight, we did have members from the community speak on this item. Similar concerns about high density residential, but they were all in favor of approving this to an M1 rezoning designation. The recommendation came from Plan and Zoning Commission for approval of this rezoning, and it was unanimous.
Any questions, council? Seeing none. This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the council or in the chambers that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none. We'll close the public hearing at 7:42. Do we have a motion to approve first consideration of ordinance number 1149?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to item 4C, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of the first reading of ordinance number 1150, an official zoning map amendment to rezone 1.816 acres from R4 High Density Mixed Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:43.
This public hearing is for the southern parcel located at 4730 Northwest 59th Avenue. Like I spoke to before in the first public hearing item, originally the applicant had come in just for this property on the north. We did get a request from the Planning and Zoning Commission to see if the property owner for all of the R4 properties would be amenable to rezoning everything to M1, just to further build on that momentum for M1 development within the area. He was willing to seek a rezoning for this property, so both of the properties in the middle would request this M1 zoning designation. He did want to keep this property to the north, R4 still, for possibly like a duplex development, but nothing high density. Similar to the other items, we did receive positive feedback for this item from the neighbors on rezoning it from R4 to M1 light industrial. We did receive a comment, just concerned. They were fully in support of the M1 transition and rezoning. They were concerned about this little pie piece up here that would still be R4. And I can open up another map just to highlight that more. Just the one right there. That is the part that he's planning on building a duplex at max. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval, and it was unanimous.
Council have any questions?
So if I am understanding this correctly, if you pull up one of the maps, there will be a requirement for a higher level of buffer between the existing apartments, which are high-end residential, and this M1. And there will be a little bit of a requirement for that smaller parcel to the north and the rezoning that we just approved, or we just voted on.
The M1, anything that's going to be rezoned to M1 would have a higher requirement for buffering to any residential.
So it doesn't have to buffer, you don't have to have a higher level of buffer between the Sikh temple and this property, but for that little piece of property where a duplex might go, there would be a little bit extra.
Yep, correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:46. Do we have a motion to approve first reading of ordinance number 1150?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the non-consent agenda. Item 7A, consider second consideration of ordinance number 1144, establishing the Highway 141 Northwest Saylorville Drive area sanitary sewer connection district. David.
Good evening. At the public hearing on October 20th, we did have one public comment asking some questions about this connection district. I did have a follow-up conversation with the gentleman's attorney later that week. It turned out the real concern that they had was their belief that they had to pay that all up front at the time the ordinance was adopted, not as they connected to the sewer or otherwise developed their property. So I believe that really addressed their concerns, and I did have a follow-up message back and forth with the attorney today, and he confirmed that. There was one question that that I had with their attorney that I just wanted to broach with you. The exception clause for existing single-family residential dwellings that connect to the connection district. Basically, they're only required to pay for 1 acre, even if they're on 10 acres or 20 acres. The discussion the attorney asked is, well, we have these existing lots that are bigger. In reviewing our existing ordinances, all of our exceptions are for existing dwellings, not existing lots. And conferring with Christine, she confirmed that's kind of the standard. And while we could do existing lots, the standard is really for existing residential dwellings, not lots. So staff is not recommending any changes at this time, but did want to follow up from the comments that were received at the last reading.
Any questions for David?
So it is currently existing dwelling?
There's an existing dwelling that would only have to pay for 1 acre, or on their development. They also have 4 or 5 other developed lots that don't have property, they don't have dwellings on them, developed in that they're platted. So if those were to connect, they would have to pay the cost of whatever the acreage is of the property. But they would not fall under the exemption that's in the ordinance that limits that amount to just for 1 acre.
Because that 1 acre limit is only for existing dwellings.
Dwellings, yep.
Okay.
Any other questions for David? If not, do we have a motion to approve a second consideration of ordinance number 1144?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes. Motion passed. Item 7B, consider second consideration of ordinance number 1145, establishing a separate sewer user charge for users located in the Highway 141 Northwest Saylorville Drive Area Sanitary Sewer Connection Fee District.
No changes and no additional public comment on this one.
Questions for David? If not, do we have a motion to approve second consideration of ordinance number 1145?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed. I should make you read this one. Moving on to item 7C. Consider second consideration of ordinance number 1147, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the Windsor Fields urban renewal area in the city of Johnson, county of Polk, state of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the state of Iowa, city of Johnson, county of Polk, Johnson Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for the payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to an indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued incurred by the city in connection with the Windsor Fields urban renewal area, the Windsor Fields urban renewal plan. Josh.
Mayor, I believe you do have delegation authority, so if you want to delegate that to somebody.
Next time.
Mayor Pro Tem or. Council, this is the second reading. Staff has received no public comment to date. And again, this is establishing a TIF district for the new Windsor Fields area. This is a subdivision that was started over 20 years ago, a commercial subdivision, business park. So I think it identifies the fact that there's some lots available, that there's still a need for an urban renewal area and TIF district. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Josh? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve second consideration of ordinance number 1147?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second, discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Coe,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7D, consider second consideration of ordinance number 146, amending sections 165.01, 165.02, 176.14, 177.01, and table 168.2 of the Johnson Code of Ordinances. Rose.
Mayor and council, this is the second consideration of a series of text amendments relative to updating our code for consistency with the ADA language that was passed in the last session. We have not received any additional comments from the public and have no proposed changes.
Any questions for Rose? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve second consideration of ordinance number 1146?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Coe?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7E, consider approval of second consideration of PZK's 25-14, text amendment to modify section 190 of the Johnson zoning code to be consistent with state legislation effective July 1, 2025. Rose.
Mayor and council, this is the series of text amendments relative to adding practical difficulty as a consideration in Board of Adjustment actions. This is also for consistency with state code passed in the last session. We've received no additional public comment and have no proposed changes.
Questions for Rose? If not, do we have a motion to approve second consideration of PZK's 25-14?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Coe?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7F, consider approval of claims in the amount of $2,579,748.17.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Coe?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to city administrator staff comments.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just one quick update. Today, staff spent most of the day, your department directors, working with Lyle with our strategic plan update, working on the action agenda. I had a lot of good work on that. So just a reminder, the segue to it is we are meeting Saturday from 8:30 to 11:30 as a council to put the finishing touches on that strategic planning. We'll be sending out a document likely Wednesday for you guys to start looking through and certainly be ready for Saturday. So thank you very much.
Any other staff
I
comments?
think we have a couple department
Okay.
updates.
Yeah, just carrying over from the work session, I just wanted to give project updates. I got a few project updates for you here on 100th and 78th Avenue. That's our asphalt roadway reconstruction project in the trail. The final surface course was put on a week and a half ago. We'll get final pavement markings down this week, probably towards the end of the week. The contractor has completed all of the trail except for a small section on 100th Street. And they were able to get a lot of the area seeded. We weren't able to get all of it seeded prior to the seeding date. So we have some grass. Some of it was hydro mulch to stabilize the area. They will come back and dormant seed that towards the end of the month, early next month, so that that'll grow early fall. And then one of the finishing other touches on the 100th Street section is for the safety railings on the retaining walls that are out there. They have been fitted up in the field and then sent off to be powder coated to get installed here towards the end of the month. I'm kind of switching gears over to the 78th Avenue side, which is just the trail section between 100th and 107th. The contractor is to pour the remaining half driveways. They've kept access to the residents by pouring half at a time on those driveways. The final half will be poured this week. I was out there today. They have poured a significant section of the trail all the way from 100th Street up to just short of 104th is what they were pouring today. So with the weather that it looks like we've got for the rest of the week, we ought to be pretty close to being poured out by the end of the week. We do have a couple of issues with mid-am guy wires that we're working through with them that may leave a section or two out and have to come back and fill those in later this month, but we're working diligently with those folks. And then once we get the trail constructed, it cures out, we'll get those areas backfilled, stabilized, do some dormant seeding as well on those areas so that we get seed to pop up in the spring. Any questions on that one? That project has not been without its challenges, but we've also had some positive public feedback from the residents, either via email or phone calls or just being out in the community and talking to folks. Green Meadows West sidewalk. The majority of the pedestrian ramps have been completed. We've got one intersection that is left at Brandywine and Kings Row. The contractor will then, once that's completed, they'll switch back over to private sidewalk panels. which should be completed prior to Thanksgiving. So as long as Mother Nature holds out, we can get those poured. We should get the sidewalk program completed this year. The restoration on the corners that is sod is being put down that will be completed by the end of next week. Where they're doing the private panels, they usually have about 6 to 8 inches. We do hand seed that. So that'll come up in the spring as well. Before I move on, Merle Hay Road ICAP project. This is in conjunction with the DOT. They funded about 80% of that project. The city matched the remaining 20%. And this is at several locations between 35, 80, and 62nd, where we're getting new detection equipment, pedestrian countdown timers, as well as pedestrian push buttons. We've also made some pedestrian improvements with the ramp layouts and brought those up to ADA standards. The contractor did complete all the pedestrian ramps last week. The contractor is working on restoration on the west side this week. Once again, the contractor ran into 2 setbacks. We are supposed to be getting new posts on the east side of Merle Hay at Pioneer Parkway due to the intersection alignment change last year. And then at Wynwood and Merle Hay as well. They found that they've got switchgear that needs replaced at Pioneer Parkway, which should have been completed today. That'll allow them to do that work later this week. And they've got a bad cable up near Bishop Drum, which will take a little bit longer, but we'll work through those areas. Mediam is aware of those so that we can get that project completed here very soon. So a couple of updates that on those projects, and be happy to answer either any questions on these projects or any of the other ones we got going.
Any questions for Matt? I will tell you, Matt, I've been outdoor knocking, and compared to 2 years ago, when I was up for reelection and I was outdoor knocking in Green Meadows, there weren't the trip hazards there that there were the last time I was out there. And, you know, doing the door knocking in Green Meadows West, we still have trip hazards there in some of those areas where the panels haven't been replaced, but the next time, that will be taken care of as well. So your folks are doing a great job.
Are you giving us a heads up, Mayor, for next time?
Well, you never know.
Thank you.
Okay, any other staff comments?
Just an update, the watershed assessment and stormwater master plan has kicked off. Probably later this week, we'll be sending some direct mail letters to some properties that are adjacent to certain tributaries because our consultant RDG will have some field staff out walking certain parts of tributaries and certain parts of streams. So we want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. The larger public rollout of that project will be later in this year because as they're doing the watershed assessment part, there's really not a lot of public engagement components to that, but starting in December and January, when we really start working on the stormwater master plan part, is when you'll start to see those items coming together. We will put up a project website here in a couple weeks, just so there is a place for some general information. And also we are finalizing the makeup of the steering committee for that project. So this project will use a steering committee, focus groups, one-on-one interviews, and also just general other opportunities for broader public engagement. So if any of you council members or mayor wish to be on that steering committee, just reach out to me, please, by email.
Any other council comments?
Jeff's not here, but Trail Master Plan is also underway. There is an open house scheduled for next Monday, 4 to 7 at Crown Point, and that should all be, there should have been an invite that went out. It's on your calendars. So, and there is a website and online survey and online mapping currently open as well. So.
When is that, David?
Monday the 10th from 4 to 7.
Got it. Any other staff comments? City council comments, Councilman Evans.
Just please don't forget to vote tomorrow.
you have a stake in it? Councilman Coe.
I wanted to point out in today's, some of the materials that were attached to the agenda, item 4A, the first public hearing we had, there was a zoning analysis done that staff has pulled together that has some really good and helpful information about properties in Johnson available for either the R4, R3, higher density. Good, I think really helpful data that's attached. So I would encourage the council and the mayor to review that. I think there's some really good information that is helpful for us as we do some planning. And I would ask that at some point we also do a work session item to walk through that material as well, because I think these types of issues that are popping up around access, and I think as Councilmember Martin pointed out appropriately, you know, whether there's, what is kind of the direction that the city is heading into for development on lots that might allow for housing that is at a more affordable price point than currently exists in our community. So I just wanted to highlight that document. I thought was really good. Second of all, Johnson is the home of a lot of very successful and people have attained a high thing. And we added another new item, maybe not new, but a World Series winner from the city of Johnson. Jack Dreyer was a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers, pitched in both Game 3 and 4 of the World Series, and 2017 graduate of Johnston High School, and went on to an illustrious career at the University of Iowa as a pitcher there, and now pitches for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Appeared in almost, I think, 70 games this year for the Dodgers, and had a great season. So want to issue our congratulations to the Dreyer family for a really amazing accomplishment. His father was also a Major League Baseball pitcher, but to win a World Series, and out on social media, you'll see a picture of him in his Johnson uniform and also holding the World Series trophy, kind of juxtaposition. So neat accomplishment for them. So wanted to call that out.
Councilman Burkhart.
Nothing for the good of the order.
I have nothing, Mayor, thank you. Except, yeah, go vote.
I just want to thank everyone that was involved in the multiple trick-or-treat opportunities in our community over the last week and a half. I mean, we had the trick-or-treat with the first responders out at the fire station. So our police and our firefighters were there in full force, and we had hundreds of kids that showed up that evening and participated in that. I also was invited this year to participate in the Spooktacular at the Johnson High School. And, you know, it was the same thing, just they were lined up down the street, and hundreds of kids turned out for that as well. And I thought maybe, and I knew that there were other trunk or treat things going on. The Lions Club had something, and some of the churches had it, and I thought, you know, nobody's going to come to my door this year because they've already got 5 bags full of candy at home. But sure enough, it was a little cool cool on Friday night, but that didn't stop the kids from turning out. And again, you know, just lots of families out there with the kids knocking on the door, and some had jokes and others didn't have jokes, but that was all right. They took their candy anyway. So thanks to everyone who made Friday night a safe night and who participated in all those other events. We also had a special guest at the fire station at the Public Safety Building last week. Congressman Nunn brought donuts for the firefighters and the policemen on what was First Responders Day. Yeah, so that was a great opportunity for all of our first responders to get together and have some coffee and donuts and share with one of our members of Congress, you know, what their needs are, what their concerns are, and for him also to share back what opportunities there are in Congress right now to help address some of those needs. And lastly, I would just, encourage everyone to get out and vote tomorrow. I have done some door knocking, and I can tell you that, you know, the response that I'm getting at the doors is just amazing. people in our community are just very, very happy with, the way things are being handled right now. And the only, I always ask, is there any questions or comments that you have for me? And the only one that I heard was we got to get 86th Street fixed. Otherwise, people are really happy, and they almost always mention the events that we have, in particular, what's going on at the town center. So I think we need to keep those up. Anyway, with that, do we have anything else for the good of the order? If not, we are adjourned. Thanks all.